and also he was also the first person to invent photographing faces, where in crime, maybe when one is admitted of crime, before and after prosecution, we note that one is usually taken at the front face, the side view, and also the other side view of their faces. And we also come to note that he later introduced fingerprints as a secondary role in category of special marks, since we note that different people are different, and we can share common fingerprints and marks. And here is where he identified that fingerprints can be used as a secondary role in special marks, despite the hand length, the lengths of the forearm, and photographing faces. He also identified fingerprints can be used as special marks. I can share my screen from here. Uh, we note that each fingerprint of valleys and ridges. Ridges helps with the grip. If we can look at you can note that your fingerprint is composed of in simple layman's language, you can see that there are valleys and there are hills. If one person can unmute their mic maybe and tell us. Maybe let us know about how their fingerprint looks like. Well, we see that also each ridge has multiple sweat posts that leads to sweat glands. We also note that in the line of cyber security, it's are gotten in law enforcement, where fingerprints need to be collected and analyzed. We note that also people try to deform their fingerprints by maybe pouring acid on them, by scalping them out so that they cannot be easily identified and not collected in the national database. And we have breathing arcs, loops, and holes. If you can look at your fingers, we can note that depending on the arcs, loops, and holes. If you can look at your fingerprints, you can see that, okay, like possibly like mine is based on the arc due to the pattern that it forms. Can one person let us know on their pattern?
Hey, Alvin.
I've heard
Alvin,
that.
I think we are
Yes,
losing you in the audio.
yes,
I think we are losing you, your audio.
on the audio
Yeah.
now. Um, can you get me?
Yes, yes. Now I think you're audible.
Now I'm audible.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Okay. So as I was saying, um, on the fingerprint patterns, the different patterns that we have the arc, the loop, and the hole. And I'd asked if someone can maybe unmute their mic and let us know on the type of print that they can see on their finger.
Well, anyone can try. You can unmute your mic and maybe give us a description of what you see. Personally, I
Is
don't
it
know how to
is
describe
it the
mine.
arc, the loop? The loop tries to form a loop to the middle part. The whole forms a circular form in letter C from the middle, and then the arc tries and forms an N from the middle of your finger.
Hi everyone. Mine has a simple loop.
Yours has a simple loop.
Yes.
What has helped you identify that it's a simple loop?
The pattern.
The pattern.
Yes.
That's nice. As we can see, the loop forms this pattern towards the loop, and then the arc, as you can see, it forms uh, this, as the word explains, arc. It forms from the middle part. It forms this arc as it extends towards the center and forms towards the end, and the whole from the middle of the finger. As we can see, it forms this circular part, and here we can identify this triangle, this part. It's called a delta, as we later identify that. And then we look at the cos, we look at the cos and the deltas. The core is the center of the loop or the hole. The core of your fingerprint, it's this part, this center part of the loop or the hole. And the delta is the triangular region where ridges change direction. You see here where the ridges change direction, this is our delta. As you can see in the arc, the delta is somewhere right here where you can see the direction forms to this end. And here at this part, this direction forms towards this end and this end. In the loop, we notify a delta as this point where we get this direction, the upwards direction, and this downwards direction in the loop. And in the whole, this will be our triangular region where the ridges change direction. The outermost ridge extending towards the outer area, the lower ridge extending towards the outer and the inner direction. And also this part we have another delta the hole has two deltas, as you can see, this part here and this other part here, where there is change in direction this way and towards this lower part. A simple picture can show the axe, the loop, this towards this direction, and the holes. We get to see that plain axe has no presence of deltas. Mhm. And the loops must have one more than one ridge. You can remember the ridges. They are the ones which change directions towards the triangular region, which is the delta, and they either live on the same side or different sides. And then we look at the holes where they have at least one ridge that makes a complete circuit. The hole. This was the hole. The hole. The hole have they have one ridge that make a complete circuit, and they have at least two deltas. You can identify one delta here at this point and another delta at this point. At these 2 points in the hole. And we have double loops with two deltas. A fingerprint is made up of ridges and valleys on the surface of the finger, and thus the uniqueness that can the uniqueness of a fingerprint can be determined by the pattern of ridges and valleys, because each and everyone has a different pattern with the way their fingerprint is designed, and this is what will help us to identify the ridges and the valleys. And in identification and collection of fingerprints, we use different powders, which are called the Volcano Latent print powder, which they come in different colors. Depending on the surface that you'd like to collect your fingerprint from, the different powders will assist us in collecting them from different surfaces, as I will show you. If you can look at the axe here, if you can look at also your finger, so that we can also walk hand in hand. In this practical, you can identify whether your arc is plain or it's tented. The tented one, it tends to be more spiked towards the top from the middle part of the finger. You can look at your finger and maybe identify whether yours it's plain arc, tented arc. You can look at your index finger or your thumb. They give clear analysis of the type of ridges formed. Also, you can look at your if you are of a different type. You can look whether yours is based on the loop. Based on the right finger and the left finger, you can have a look at your fingers. The holes, the rare, this is one of the rare patterns to find. You can check whether you have the plain hole or the central pocket hole. Does any one of us have the hole with us? Anyone? You can unmute your mic maybe and tell us. No one has a hole. We have the accidental hole where we have this hole where it comes together with the centermost hole, where we identify this as our delta. If you can remember the delta definition, where ridges come into different directions, this triangular part. And then we have the double loop hole, the loop forming another hole, and we call it a double loop hole. The central hole with one delta, or forming just one hole in the middle part. And the plain hole having two deltas, one on the right side and another one here on the mid, and we have our hole on the middle part. And then now I think I'll go through a practical where we'll now collect a fingerprint and try to analyze it based on the three types of fingerprints that we have. Either an arc, either we look at it whether it will be an arc, a loop, or a hole. A minute. Now we have this as our plain paper where we are going to collect our fingerprints, and then we have this as our magnifying lens that we are going to use to help us identify and look at the ridges, the different patterns where they intersect. This will help us based on identifying our culprits. And then we have dusting powder. This is black dusting powder that we'll use on a light surface. Now this is the Hi-Fi Volcano Latent print powder. And then we have the cream, the purple one that we use on a shiny surface. And then here we have our fingerprint sellotape that we use that we'll use to lift our fingerprints from the surface. we are going to place we are going to lift fingerprints from this paper, and we are also going to lift fingerprints from this glass. And we have a brush that we are going to use to rub fingerprints. Yeah, so we are going to start our process. So this is the gum that we are going to use so that we are going to apply the fingerprints. So we are going to use we have applied a bit of this gum black powder, and we are going to roll it. I've lost your video. So here it's where we are going to place our finger so that we can try and read the prints. Place kidole. Place your finger. So, and then we are going to collect our fingerprint on this paper. And then I'm also going to collect mine. And we are going to analyze them. So the next thing that we are going to do is we have our fingerprints collected here, as you can see. If the video it's not clear, you can see a bit of the patterns there, and let my partner collect another clear fingerprint. Yeah, ikidole. Yeah. Yeah, so we have a clear print here and another clear print here. So this is his and this is mine. So let's try and analyze these prints. Using our microscope, I'm going to place the fingerprints under the microscope. Hebu jaribu kuweka hapa ndani. Let me try and yes, exactly. But as you can see, as you can look at these fingerprints, maybe one of us can try and tell us what they can tell by the deltas and the pattern of this fingerprint. What type of fingerprint this is? Maybe one person can unmute their mic and let us know on the type of fingerprint.
I don't think anyone knows. Could you help us out?
Yeah, I can help you out with this pattern. This is the arc pattern where we see that we have the centermost. Let me try and place it. As we can see, we have the centermost part of the finger forming an triangular part. As we can look at it from the center part, it comes and forms like an N from the innermost part. And we have this one part where we have this one triangle where the outer ridges comes and forms towards the outer end, and the lower ridges forms towards the lower end, forming this centermost part of the triangle, where the ridges form. And we can see that the other pattern that we have on the thumb, it also forms the arc, where we see both the triangles forming. Where we see both triangles forming to create that delta. And then now I'm going to show you how to lift from a wooden surface. Stop. I will share my screen. Where we identify, I will identify this as the table that had been used to that there are fingerprints placed on this table. Now, since because of the color, a black color, the black latent powder can be used to collect fingerprints from these tables. You can see there are hand imprints, and there is our brush, and there is the black powder. We've dusted the place, and as you can see, there are fingerprints. There are fingerprints on the table. With this, now we can collect them using the sellotape, as I will show you in our next photo. Let me share this. Let me share the screen. As you can see now, we are using the sellotape to lift the fingerprints from the table. And as I will show you with our next slide. We have collected our fingerprint, and we are now trying to look at it. And here is a clear picture of the lifted fingerprint from the table. With this picture, this is a clear picture. As you can see it clearly, where the triangular line is drawn, we have the intersecting parts, and you can clearly see the deltas. You can see the ridges, the sweat posts. The sweat posts are even visible, are even clearly visible. We have, as you can see, we have the ridges, where the ridges are starting and where they are ending, and these are ridge characteristics. Huh? Where we have at the intersecting part, we have the crossovers, where the ridges intersect and cross.
Alvin, somebody asked if it's a loop fingerprint.
On the chart?
Yes, in the chart.
Okay. The fingerprint that we are analyzing, it's a radio loop.
A radio loop.
Yeah.
Is that different from a loop fingerprint?
It's just a sub characteristic of a loop fingerprint. Yeah. Still analyzing on the fingerprint, we see that on the ridge part, we have our core that subtends towards where the red line is, towards the right side. Towards the right side, we have our core, and towards the triangular part, we have our delta, and after the triangular part, that small line that we can identify, it's called an island. The upper part of the delta, it's called an island. Yeah, and from lifting fingerprints, we have three types of prints, where we have the visible prints, and these are prints that are seen with the naked eye, which include paint, grease, ink, and blood. And then we have plastic prints, which are print impressions left on wax, soaps, or dust, and latent prints, which are impressions left by friction on the ridge skin on the surface, on maybe surface handles, glass, on the door handle, and they are invisible to the naked eye. And by maybe unveiling them, we have to dust them using black fingerprint powder. Okay. Yeah, if maybe anyone, maybe Nancy, maybe back to you.
Oh, okay. I think it was so. I've learned so much, to be honest. And I think it's the same for the others. So as we digest everything that you said, maybe we can ask questions. Do you have any question? Maybe you can have a question. questions you can ask. Oh, okay. I'm saying, sorry, someone said that they can't hear me. I'm saying, thank you, Alvin, for the very informative session. I think I've learned so much myself. So, maybe if you have a question, if any one of us here has a question, if it's maybe something that you'd love to pursue, digital forensics, maybe you can ask Alvin a question, maybe about the session, about forensics in general. Yes, feel free. Maybe you can just type it in the chat box and either me or Tony can read it out and then Alvin can answer your question. But thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Brian. But thank you so much, Alvin. With the tools, it was so hands-on. Great session. So feel free to ask questions. If there's any question, or maybe Tony, there's something you'd love to add to what maybe Alvin has said. I think the session was so comprehensive. I personally enjoyed it. Oh, okay. There's a question. Where can we get such resources to learn about fingerprint analysis?
Okay. You can get us at global global forensic services. I work at Global Forensic Services. We are located at Nasiko Plaza, 5th floor. And if you want to also know more about this at a personal level, I'll share my contact here, and you can get first-hand information through me, and I'll direct you towards our place where we can do more analysis on this. So in the chat box, I'll just type my email and my phone number.
Please go ahead and ask your question, Brian, if you have one.
Well, Alvin and the team, thank you for the session. You see you have done a great job. So this is probably the question. I heard you, Alvin, saying that you could clearly see the sweat pores. How is that possible? When you are just using magnifying lens, which is not microscopic or electric microscope. That is possibly impossible, I think. Well, just to add on, you showed us how to lift fingerprints from the table, and the fingerprint that you had you had placed on the sheet of paper. I think there were around 4. First, forensically, I don't think, maybe just for the general information for our listeners or our those who are following the session, I think it's not viable, first of all, to do some forensic analysis using naked or uncovered hands, because that's already violating and trying to disturb the evidence that were there. 2, I could see you touching the paper or the table while trying to, or with your hands while trying to extract the fingerprints. meaning that if we were to extract fingerprints, we could get the genuine fingerprint. Just imagine that there is a culprit that has committed an offense, maybe, let's say, by a fingerprint that is in form of a dust or blood or something, and you, as the examiner, fingerprint analyst, you come and still touch the same paper. Do you think that, don't you think that you will also be a culprit, because your fingerprint will remain on the surface you're collecting evidence from? Yes, so I think it's a good work for a start, and next time, please put in consideration, especially now that I see your good initiative of becoming a serious forensic analyst, especially in fingerprint and patterns, and you be keen on such like stuffs because they matter a lot. Just for in case somebody is going for an interview and is given to analyze fingerprints and is doing the same way you are doing, I think if I was the supervisor, I would disqualify or I would nullify the results. But practically, you have tried your best and you have done a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's another question.
Uh-huh.
How can you get the document you used for presentation?
Let me type my email, and then I can share to you. I'll share to Nancy. She has a broader network towards each and everyone's reach. And I'll also take my email and I'll share the notes.
Well, Alvin.
Yes?
Hello. Just maybe to assist, I have seen a question from Kim. Kim is asking, can scars on our fingers pose a challenge in a fingerprint analysis?
Can scars?
Yes, scars.
Oh yeah, can
maybe
scars?
Yes. Okay. So Kim,
Yes,
I think scars are one of the challenges we face in fingerprints, because it can come as a result of damage or age, and therefore it will alter the fingerprint pattern. When the fingerprint pattern is altered, the real identification of somebody cannot easily be identified. For example, you have gone to a DCI to take your fingerprint patterns for verification of criminal records this year, and next year you burn your finger that was used. Then it means that once the skin is burnt, the fingerprint pattern shall alter a little bit, but fingerprints will still regrow unless it's permanently altered.
Permanent damage, yeah.
Yes. So for your questions, for this question, the answer could be yes or no, depending on the severity of the scar.
Yeah.
I think Alvin, I think I'm right?
Yeah, you are right.
Okay. And maybe for Neha is asking, is it similar to capture data, like data analysis? I don't, for me, I don't understand that question. Maybe if you understand it, or maybe if he can put it better, in a better way for us to understand, we can help where possible.
Yeah.
I think you can allow Neha Vashat to unmute him or herself to maybe put his or her question clear for us to understand it.
Okay, I think the best thing is we have Tony read out the questions, because if we all maybe kind of unmute our mics, the communication will be kind of frenzy. So Tony, I think you can take over.
Okay, Nancy. I think it's somebody with like icon on their side. Because if you're using both the laptop and the phone, you can mute one. You have getting it on our side. So Neha, the thing that will come again on this question, is it similar to capture data like data analysis?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I took long. I was trying to get out from where I was. Basically, like, you know how data analysis, you are able to capture information and be able to predict the outcome. That's what I was thinking. You know, I'm not sure. I don't know anything about the fingerprint, but then I was thinking, can you be able to predict any outcome from that fingerprint? I don't know if it makes
I
sense.
can try and answer that.
Okay.
Okay, like for example, in when fingerprints are analyzed and collected, because we collect fingerprints, analyze them, and present them maybe to a database, to a local database or maybe an international database based on the type of culprits that we have at hand. And with this, we have a system called the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, the AFIS, which is a computerized system capable of reading, classifying, matching, and storing fingerprints for criminal justice agencies. And there's an example of one that's at the DCI headquarters, that when maybe your fingerprints are collected when you are picking your national identification card, the fingerprints are stored. And when you commit a crime, before you are presented to the court of law, your fingerprints are also collected and stored. So this process of storing the fingerprints, maybe when you try and alter maybe a region or maybe a small section of your ridge, and the other areas, the other ridges are highly matching. They are highly matching to your fingerprints. Despite that small interference of the ridge, you are still capable of being convicted, because the highest chance of, or the risk that has been taken, and the analysis that has been conducted, they are matching the fingerprints based on the system that has the fingerprints stored for the criminals in the criminal justice agents departments.
Okay, thank you so much for actually sharing that info. I think it's very clear for what you've just said. And then lastly, I want to ask, do you have any, like, do you do any training based on this?
Yeah, we actually do training based on fingerprint identification and analysis at Global Forensics.
Is it free or is it in, like, do you pay?
It's charged.
Okay, I think I'll just communicate with you much later.
Okay.
Yeah, but personally, I've enjoyed this session. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, I don't know if we have any other question. I love how interactive the session was. That we had ideas, and suggestions even from the audience. It's nice. It makes the session more interactive. So I think if we're short of questions, I'll maybe give my final regard on. Thank you for attending this session once again, and we'll have the next campus edition series on Tuesday. We have the campus edition sessions every other Tuesday, but also we have community editions every other Thursday. So maybe you can follow our social media handles at She Hacks Kenya. We have so much. So please share where we can reach you for courses. Okay, I think he has shared his number. In case of anything, you can reach out to me or to Tony. Yeah, and we'll be happy to assist you. So Tony, I think if we don't have any other question, we can come to the end of the session. Okay. Thank you guys for this session. Next time, consider to involve us with anything pertaining forensics. Okay, we will definitely take that into consideration. So thank you once again for attending, everyone. And I think, Tony, maybe you can add something and then maybe you can close the meeting. Thank you. Before Tony does, Alvin, maybe you can give us your final regard, maybe, and then Tony, yes.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining the session. It wouldn't have happened without you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for working through this together in fingerprint analysis and identification. Forensics, it's a nice field. Investigating fraud forensic in fingerprints. Maybe also signature analysis, or maybe fraud has been committed and maybe signatures have been changed. Forensics, it's a nice field. Yeah. Thank you for also the opportunity. It's God given. I thank you, Nancy, also for this platform. It motivates, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you also. Thank you for even showing up in the first place. And I think, guys, I think Tony is maybe excused himself. So Maria, maybe you have something to say, and then maybe you can end the meeting. But thank you so much for attending. And also, this session was live on YouTube, still live anyway, since you haven't like closed the session, but you can maybe revert if there's something maybe that you want to cross check once again. You can revert. You can revert. Oh, okay. Just take over, Maria.
I thought you were done.
It's fine.
Okay. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you to our guest. It was a very informative session, and thank you to all who participated in asking all the questions. And regardless of the connectivity issues, you still taught us a lot, and we were very impressed. I hope you all have a good night, and thank you again for coming.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Take care of yourselves.
Good night.